Today I'm going to show you how to do module number 2, which is sewing on a shank button. You're going to need fabric, which you can get from the scrap bin. You're going to need a needle, hand sewing needle, and get a fine hand sewing needle, not a real heavy one. Those are in the top left desk drawer, and they're labeled in a box labeled hand sewing needles. You're going to need some thread, a pair of scissors, and then the button that's in the module drawer. Alright, first thing we're going to do is we're going to thread our needle, and I'm going to use contrasting thread here, so hopefully you can see my stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and thread the needle, and then I'm going to draw the thread down to the end and bring the two ends together, and then I'm going to tie a knot in the end. Okay, if the tail's kind of long behind the knot, then you can trim that off. Alright, the other thing we're going to talk about today is the button itself. And this is a shank button, and what that means is that when you turn it over or look at it on the side, it has the shank built into it. So instead of making the thread shank like we did in module number 1, this button has it built in. So it's a little bit easier to sew on because it has that already built in. So we're going to start by taking our needle and we're going to draw our thread up through the bottom, from the bottom, and draw it straight up. Then you're going to thread the needle through the shank part of the button. And if you watch, I am going to take my needle, get up a little closer here, and I'm going to go right just a little bit over from where I took my first stitch, maybe about 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to put my needle down and I'm going to draw that to the back of the fabric. Okay, then I am going to start sewing the button on. Now I want to come back up through the fabric just about where I put the first stitch. So I'm just about, can you see that? I'm just about where I took the first stitch. I'm going to go through the shank of the button, draw it through, and then I'm going to go back down the other side just about exactly where my second stitch was. Oops, got a little tangled up there. Now, in order to get the button to be secure, you're going to have to do that probably 5 or 6 times. So I'm going to do it, I've got it in there twice. I'm going to do, this is number 3. And I'm still trying to stay right around that same area where those first 2 stitches were taken. Okay, this will be number 4. And you want to sew it enough so that it feels secure and it won't come loose. And this is number 5. Okay, that's 5 times. Button feels pretty secure and I've got everything pulled tight. So now I'm going to turn this over, and now I'm going to secure my threads on the back, because if you don't secure your threads on the back, your button's going to pull off. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm kind of going underneath my stitches, drawing it through. When I get that loop, put the needle through the loop and pull. That will make a knot. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and 3 should be plenty to hold it. Then you just snip off your thread And there you have module number 2. Name on it and then put it in the container on my desk for the mini modules.